In the headlines today, the Israeli ambassador to the US says Tel Aviv prefers al-Qaeda-affiliated guys to groups backed by Iran. Michael Oren says he's kept a close watch on Tel Aviv's evolving messages on Syria since its chemical weapons were brought into the spotlight. Oren told the Israeli daily The Jerusalem Post that Israel's initial message was that it had always wanted Syrian President Bashar al-Assad to go. He said that's because Tel Aviv always preferred bad guys not supported by Iran to those backed by the Islamic Republic, even though the bad guys had links to al-Qaeda. Oren said Israel sees a strategic arc that extends from Tehran to Damascus and to Beirut as the greatest danger to Tel Aviv. He added that the Assad government was the keystone in that arc. That's why, Oren said, Israel has wanted him to go, either before or after the outbreak of the unrest in Syria. Israel's hostility toward Lebanon has also increased after Hezbollah defeated Israel during two conflicts in 2000 and 2006. Press TV's Ali Rizk is with me now live from Beirut. Let's get his thoughts on the situation. So, Ali, first of all, we'll start with the remarks that Mr. Oren said about al-Qaeda and how Israel would prefer them than to anyone that's supported by Iran. What does that, first of all, signify in terms of Israel's relationship with al-Qaeda in Syria or elsewhere in the region?
We just also have to remember that this is the second time Michael Oren makes such statements. Previously, I think it was 1 year ago, he made very similar statements in an interview with Fox News, whereby he said that al-Qaeda, or implied that al-Qaeda would be preferable to Bashar al-Assad due to Assad's linkage or his alliance with Iran and with Hezbollah. I think something we also must take into consideration is the fact that Oren is considered very close personally to the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And so what he says most probably represents the own individual viewpoints of Netanyahu himself. And we all know the Iranophobic language which we've heard and which Netanyahu has been speaking with time and again. Now, what it signifies, what these statements signify, or their significance, lie in the fact that they open the question, what was Israel's role during this crisis inside Syria? For example, he stated that Israel wanted Assad out before what he called the civil war began. So does it mean that once the peaceful protest took place, Israel saw this as an opportunity to wreak havoc and to attempt to oust Bashar al-Assad? From his statements, that's one conclusion, or that's one legitimate question you may pose. I think something else is the fact that it comes after the Russian-American agreement regarding Syrian chemical weapons, and now there's talk of a possible Geneva II conference and the political future of Bashar al-Assad. Now, John Kerry, the US Secretary of State, was visiting, actually, or met with Netanyahu about 2 days ago on Sunday, I believe. And after that meeting yesterday, Kerry said that Assad had lost his legitimacy, which I think shows you the Israeli language Americans are speaking with. And I think that now, after the chemical weapons agreement, after Israel failed in its attempt to drag America into military action, nevertheless, now is going to try and impose itself on the political process after this chemical weapons deal was made, and make sure that Assad has, or try and do as much as it can to get Assad out of power. This is probably the message Netanyahu gave to Kerry. Kerry went ahead, as I said yesterday in Paris, and said Assad had lost his legitimacy. So I think what you're going to see now is that although we had the chemical weapons agreement, that hasn't necessarily ended the deadlock. Now I think we have the battle over the political future of Syria, specifically who will be the head of state. And I think that the Israelis here will try and lobby as much as they can the US administration.
Ali Rizk, our correspondent in Beirut, with us there with the latest. Ali, thank you very much.